Red Mouse Alternative History. Episode 9, The Cape Before Portugal. Before the term, the map looked like this. In the age of Pharaoh Necho, Phoenician crews leave Egypt by the Red Sea. Years pass. Then the ships return through the Pillars of Hercules with a claim that sounds absurd. While sailing around Africa, the sun stood to their north. Herodotus records the story, and doubts it. But that impossible detail is the clue. They had crossed into the southern hemisphere. In our timeline, the report becomes a curiosity. In the Red Mouse timeline, Necho believes it. The sailors are not dismissed as liars. They are treated as pilots, who have proved that Africa is not a wall, but a circuit. Egypt funds a second voyage. Tyre supplies crews. Gades becomes more than a western outpost, it becomes the Atlantic Gate. The Phoenicians do not need to invent ocean trade from nothing. They already know ports, metals, islands, contracts, shrines, warehouses, and distant middlemen. Gades, near modern Gades, becomes the hinge between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. From there, pilots learn the Moroccan coast, the Canary waters, and the first long stages south. Then the route meets its enemy, fever. The Phoenicians do not solve malaria, they survive by behaving like Phoenicians. They anchor offshore. They sleep aboard ships. They prefer islands, headlands, sea breezes, and dry-season markets. They avoid marsh camps and river mouths at night. Malaria does not stop the Phoenician Atlantic. It shapes it into a necklace of harbors. They do not conquer the gold routes. They price them. Inland traders, river brokers, and coastal peoples bring gold, ivory, hides, dyes, resins, and stories toward the sea. Phoenician merchants bring metal goods, glass, cloth, oil, wine, weights, and written contracts. The West African gold world is not yet medieval Timbuktu, but the older corridors are there, waiting to be connected. Farther south, the Atlantic coast changes character. The wet fever coast gives way to drier stages, colder waters, and finally the great turn. At the Cape, the Phoenicians build what Portugal will not find for 2,000 years. A harbour shrine, a repair station, a wintering port, and a mixed trading town. Not Cape Town yet. Cape Melqart, the southern Gades. Once the Cape is useful, Africa is no longer just a coastline. It is a route. Ships can pass from the Atlantic into the Indian Ocean, trade up the east coast of Africa, and return by the Red Sea or around the Cape. Egyptian and Phoenician pilots learn that the continent has two doors. The Mediterranean is no longer the whole world. It is the harbour behind them. Then the Atlantic opens again. From Cape Verde, one storm, one wrong season, or one ambitious pilot can carry a ship west. The first crossing to Brazil is not a conquest plan. It is an accident that returns with bearings, goods, and witnesses. After that, the mistake becomes a route. On the coast of Brazil, the meeting is not Columbus. It is not cavalry, gunpowder, steel plate, and empire. It is traders on a beach. The Phoenicians bring glass, cloth, metal tools, amphorae, and measures. Indigenous South Americans bring food, hardwoods, dyes, feathers, medicines, and local power, not equal in every way, but equal enough that neither side can simply command the other. Then Rome arrives in the story. In our timeline, Rome destroys Carthage and ends Punic power as a Mediterranean rival. But in the Red Mouse timeline, Carthage is not only a city, it is the visible center of an Atlantic network. Gades, island stations, West African harbors, Cape Melqart, and a western route to Brazil. Rome can burn Carthage. It cannot burn the ocean. Red Mouse postulates that the Phoenician sailors were not stopped by the Atlantic, they were stopped by disbelief. If Necho had believed the men who saw the sun to the north, the Cape may have belonged to antiquity. Brazil may have met the Old World through trade, and Rome may have discovered that Carthage was no longer a city to be destroyed, but an oceanic network to be survived.